Joined in studio by Willie Geist. What's up, Willie?
What's going on, guys?
So you had Rob Gronkowski on the Today Show.
We had Gronk on about an hour ago.
We need to hear all about this.
Was he sober?
He appeared to be sober.
Because you saw the parade, right?
Did you
I saw the parade.
breathalyze it?
We actually went through all the still photographs from the parade and had him narrate what was happening in each one. The one where he's hanging off the side of the duck boat.
Yeah, what is he doing
I think
there?
his comment was, "You got to shake that booty. You got to shake that booty." That was his comment this morning. And then he was chugging the beer. Pats fan throws you beer. You got to chug that beer.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I guess he got some of the what's the drink? The firework.
Fireball.
Fireball. He got a one-hitter of Fireball, knocked that down. He was very busy at that parade. But this morning, I would say composed, definitely sober. And he was out on our plaza. It was like 7 degrees, as you guys know. Just no jacket, just gronking on the plaza, hugging people, picking up little kids. It's amazing.
Did he give you a number as to how many beers he had on that parade?
No, but I think during the parade, it's probably single digits. But
Yeah.
if you take the whole
Really?
day, God only knows. But who knows what's happening inside the duck boat? That's privacy in there.
Yeah.
We only saw what happened out there. God knows what was happening.
What'd you think of the final couple minutes at the Super Bowl?
I thought it was totally insane.
Yeah.
In a good way. It was like the best you could ask of sports, which is, I know this game is over right now. It's too bad if you're rooting for the Patriots. It ended this way with the cursed catch. And there's nothing that could happen right now to change the outcome. The Seahawks are going to win the game. They got 3 shots at it. They got a timeout. They got the beast behind them. And then so when the story flips that quickly, 180, it just takes your breath away. And you saw it. You saw Pete Carroll, the ISO, oh no, and then the life drop out of his body. And then on the other sideline, you saw Tom Brady screaming like a little girl, literally, if you heard the mic, jumping up and down and doing pirouettes in the air. It was because no one else could believe it either. It was amazing.
He did have an incredible reaction.
What should the story be? Should it be more about Pete Carroll and not giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch, or more about Tom Brady and what he did in the fourth quarter?
Well, I think Brady is overlooked. If you look, you guys know those last 2 drives. That was
Unreal.
Historically great. Pantheon, Joe Montana, Bengals drive. Like, that was that. But it felt like it was going to be erased, and I think for eternity, people will talk about the call. Matt Lauer, my colleague, interviewed Pete Carroll yesterday. He went out to Seattle and had a long talk with him. And Pete, to his credit, was very open. He said Matt said, was it the worst call of all time? He said it was the worst call of all time that didn't end up right. In other words, if I catch that defense in the wrong formation, I'm a genius because I threw a quick slant instead of giving it to Lynch. I'm not saying it was the right call. It wasn't. But there was so much more to it than that snap judgment that everyone had.
You know, I give Pete Carroll credit because if this had been reversed and the Patriots had lost the Super Bowl and Belichick didn't call those timeouts at the end to give Tom Brady a chance,
Exactly.
that would have been considered a bad call. And Belichick, could you imagine him sitting down with Matt? He wouldn't do it.
No.
He wouldn't be sitting.
No.
He'd be saying, I'm on to Cincinnati or whatever the next line is.
Exactly. And he owned up to all of that. I think they talked for a half an hour. And Matt opened the interview by saying, there are a lot of people who said this is the worst call in the history of sports. And Matt said, and I did too, that Monday after, just to be up front. And Pete laughed and kind of said, well, you and everybody else. But, he's like, I got to live with it. He said, he told Matt that he finally, maybe it was Monday night or Tuesday night, he said he was lying in bed and all the emotion came out. Just alone in his bedroom, he said he started crying about it because he said there's so many people who count on me. That's the players and it's our fans and it's the city. And he felt like he let him down.
Willie Geist goes to the Today Show, joining us here, Dan Patrick Show. Where do you stand in the debate between Brady and Montana?
These are so hard. Different eras.
We asked the tough
different place
questions.
and time. I don't know. How do you compare? I guess the argument is that Montana did it in a more concentrated time. Like he had a better run, in one space and time. But Brady does it over 15 years. I guess because he's more recent, maybe only. I think Brady's pretty incredible. But I don't know. It's not a good answer. But I don't know how do you decide between those two? Like, what's the thing that makes one better than the other?
I tell you what,
stats is that performance in a big moment. I don't know.
I tell you what differentiates it for me. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I feel like there's this perception out there that every time Joe Montana got into the playoffs, he got to the Super Bowl, and he won. He was one and done in four years in the postseason. So it's not like he has this impeccable track record of winning Super Bowls. I feel like we're criticizing Brady because he got to the Super Bowl and lost. He's 4-2. So we're using those 2 Super Bowl losses against him when, in a certain way, he's gotten farther than Montana in some of these games.
And by the way, in one of those Super Bowl losses, he led his team to an 18-1 record.
Exactly.
I mean, it was pretty good. And and lost, against a team that was pulling off miracles. So I don't know. I guess I give it to Brady, but I don't know. I can't decide. I leave it to the experts like you.
Willie, got to talk about your Giants. Last time you were in the studio with me was DirecTV Fantasy Zone on Sundays. You love Odell Beckham Jr., I know.
Who doesn't?
I'm just going to let you gush over him for a couple minutes.
First of all, when I saw you that first week,
yeah,
I walked into this place, and I actually thought I was in heaven.
It was a party.
There was professional food being prepared by celebrity
Keg
chefs
stands.
over there. There were former NFL players just lounging in Barca recliners watching football. I never wanted to leave.
Not
that room.
a bad gig.
Eventually,
on
you
Sundays.
threw me out.
Yeah.
Giants, so their defense was horrific. They have to figure that out. Their offensive line was really bad. A lot of injuries, but their offensive line was terrible. Passing game is all they could hang their hat on. So you got Odell Beckham, you got Victor Cruz coming back next year.
What happens when he gets back?
They spread the ball a little around. There are a lot of good teams have 2 receivers. But they need a running game because Eli can't be in the shotgun and throw 55 times a game, and you can sit back with 2-3 deep and stop him too easily. But the bottom line is they have to stop people. They have no defense at all. So, I think Coughlin gets another year. See how they 6-10 obviously wasn't good this year. They had that huge losing streak in the middle when they gave up 100 points a game. But I think if they can get some stops on defense and run the ball a little bit, maybe sneak into a 9-7 wild card. I'm optimistic.
Do you draft a quarterback?
Not yet.
Not
yet.
Second or third round? Say
Well,
Bryce
if you
Petty.
get deep in the draft.
Say Bryce Petty is there. Or Brett Hundley, second or third round.
What round are we talking?
Second, third.
Too
high?
I still need a defensive end. I need a defensive tackle. I need a safety. I need a offensive lineman. I think if you go into like the 4th round, something like that, you could start looking at it. But not. I wouldn't go second round.
Are you Yankees or Mets?
Yankees.
Yankees. Okay, we're talking about A-Rod a lot today. He's coming back. Obviously, pitchers and catchers reporting in just over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How big of a distraction is he going to be? Should they cut him like he thinks they should?
Cut him.
Cut him. Cut ties. Eat the
$64
$64 million.
million.
Yankees, it's monopoly money.
I think part of what they want to do is get insurance money on his contract. Say there's something so wrong with his hip, he's unable to play, and then they can get insurance to pay for 80% of the deal.
He's going to fight that tooth and nail.
And he's going to fight that. It is such a weird time, though. It's like that last hit by Jeter, you could feel the page turning. Like, I grew up with Jeter, and I are the same age. I feel like I came up with him, and he was our guy. And then it just ended on that night. Mo's gone, Pettit's gone, Bernie's gone, Posada's gone. And so now what you're left with is a bunch of new guys and A-Rod, which is like we had Jeter, St. Jeter, and then it's like we're left with A-Rod. So it's a little bit of a depressing time, but they've got the resources to bounce back.
I feel like the Yankees are trying to transition into a different way of doing business because they didn't go out there this offseason and spend the money that we've seen them spend in years past. They didn't bid on a Max Scherzer, John Shields, some of these other big
They didn't really
players
last year either,
that are out there. They're trying to go in a different direction. And I know it's a lot of money to eat on A-Rod's contract, but I just see this guy coming back, Willie, and I see him just being a daily conversation topic. And if you're trying to develop a team with young players, the last thing you want to do is to have this guy around this team.
Yeah.
Maybe he can hit a little bit, but he batted .244 in his last full season. He can't play third base anymore. I don't know if you want to bring him into this mix and have him potentially toxify it.
Well, that's the thing. What's the return on that? Is what value you're getting for having that distraction around. It's one thing if he's hitting 50 home runs and being the A-Rod of past. Those days are over. We all know that. In fact, Cashman said, yeah, we'll probably DH him once in a while. Didn't even guarantee him the DH jobs. You're not going to play third base, but you might DH once in a while. For that ticket price, you're right, it's a lot of money to eat, but I just think, as you say, having the new shortstop, having all these young guys around, it feels like you really do want to turn that page, and do you want A-Rod to be the leader of that page?
So should he stay or should he go, Willie?
I'm not eating that much money, but I think they're going to get the insurance on him. Watch.
Is this the worst New York sports scene that you can remember? I mean, I'm just looking around. I mean, Rangers are okay. I don't know if we throw the Islanders. Do you put the Islanders in the mix yet, though? Are they part of that core New York sports team?
Yeah, when you say we've got 3 teams, you got the Rangers, the Islanders, and the Devils. Yeah, I'm happy for the Islanders.
But you've got the Knicks and the Nets.
Awful.
You've got the Yankees and the Mets.
Yeah.
You've got the Giants and the Jets. I mean,
I think
not a lot to get excited about if you're a New York sports fan.
I think statistically, I read something not long ago in New York Magazine. If you put together all the wins, it is the worst era in the history of New York sports.
Wow.
So I think it is objectively the worst. It's hard. I mean, I grew up a Knicks fan. They never won the title, but at least they were there. They were fighting Jordan tooth and nail. They were fighting the Heat. Mm-hmm. You had all these fun playoff series, and there's this malaise in the city. It used to be a thing. You go to the Garden, there was
Odell
a
Beckham
buzz
Jr.
in there.
though.
Well, Odell I love, but I'm talking basketball right now. It's tough, man. It's bleak.
I want to ask this before we let you go. you mentioned the conversation Matt had with Pete Carroll. One of my concerns about Pete going into next year is after you make such a bad call and your whole team knows you should have run the ball, how difficult do you think it's going to be for Pete Carroll to get his team back? Is it going to be as easy as going to training camp and all is forgotten? Or do you think there's going to be some kind of healing that needs to be done between Pete and his team before this thing can move forward?
I feel like he's got enough equity with those guys. He won the Super Bowl last year. He's turned the Seahawks into a thing. I mean, we didn't talk a lot about the Seahawks growing up unless you were talking about Kurt Warner, not this Kurt Warner, the older Kurt Warner. There was never Seahawks talk, and the Seahawks are a thing, and I think a lot of those players love him. Obviously, they second-guessed what he did, and some of them did it out loud in the locker room after the game. I'm sure they're going to get in a room and talk through it and be like, I think he's already done this on Monday. He said, I screwed up, and let's move past it. I think he's got enough respect and enough equity with that team that he can come back from it.
Today's show, anything coming up that you're working on that we should have on our radar?
Oh, my gosh, we're working on all kinds of things.
What do you got?
How about the 50 Shades of Grey premiere we had this morning? You were watching. Don't pretend you weren't.
I was not there, but...
Have you read the books?
I have not read the books.
This is what everyone says. Everyone has read the books.
I would gladly admit if I read the books.
No,
I have not. I've not read the books.
I've never read the books. We went big this morning on the 50 Shades of Grey premiere. We had 1,100 women from across the country.
My goodness.
Flew in. They got the red carpet treatment. The actors were there. It was like a big whole thing. So
they lost a big demographic, a male demographic, by not having Charlie Hunnam as the star of that movie. Jax Teller from Sons of
Anarchy,
right.
baby.
You think guys were going to go see that movie?
I might have if Jax Teller was in it. But
why wouldn't guys see that movie? It's not like The Notebook. It's not like a romantic. It's not, right? It's
still a little girly.
I don't think isn't it? Am I wrong? Is it not? I thought it was not girly. I thought it was kind of like hardcore.
I think the book was more hardcore than the film.
Oh, okay.
Put it this way: how many men were in attendance at your
one?
Thing today?
And his name was Carson Daly. he had to be there.
Did you open it up for men?
What's that?
Or was it just supposed to be women?
No, it was open to anybody. I think there were the lead actor, Jamie Dornan, and Carson were the two guys.
I mean, it opens on Valentine's Day. You'd think that guys aren't going to go see this? You guys are crazy. Girls are going to drag their guys to it.
What's more romantic than bondage? You know? It's fantastic.
You said it, not me.
Go to the hardware store and have a great Valentine's Day.
Thanks for coming in, Willie. Appreciate it.
Good to see you guys.